Books, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to City Skylines Mass Transit! Oh, no. Let's do this properly. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to City Skylines Mass Transit! I certainly hope you're having a wonderful day, because I'm certainly excited to be back here in the beautiful city of Nerdshire, where we're currently sitting at about $8.5 million, 155,000 people with a teeny tiny little bit of residential demand. So, you might notice that we're not really looking towards the area that we built up last time. Last time we went ahead and changed some of this, built up this little area, and this little area it's coming along a bit. It's sort of doing its thing, which is great. Obviously, traffic's backing up a little bit, and obviously the European style is something I'm still debating. The European thing, a lot of people were like, yo, do the European thing in the center of the city, or, you know, do this or do that. But the reason I went with the European theme out here is because it is much, much lower than why is this building? That is not the European theme. That is odd. But yeah, a few people mentioned that they liked it, a few mentioned that they didn't. I actually saw a comment that a lot of people actually thumbs up, which was that the game needs like a medium density zoning, so that you're basically not left with the options of small buildings or giant buildings, because the high-rise ban basically only stops buildings from leveling up to, I believe, level 5. So they'll never become as, you know, the tallest, but they're still pretty darn tall buildings. When I think of like medium density stuff, I think of like Brooklyn sort of, like old red brick apartment looking things in like Brooklyn or something like that. Or these kind of buildings, but these are such a different theme that I just don't know if they're working. Anyway, rambling aside, today, I'm kind of thinking that I want to come back to the main bit of the city because I want to try and make a substantial change to what we have in the city at the moment, because we don't currently have a major train station, and I kind of want one, if I'm honest. So what I'm thinking is we could potentially clear out this area here, which is a part of Birdsong Square. We could potentially clear that out because we do currently have a train that comes in here. And we could put a major train station right there. Now, there's obviously a metro station just there, but what I'm going to do, since we have a fair bit of money, I can actually just test this because I don't remember, is I'm going to just plop this down. Actually, no, I can see it there. Underneath this, there is actually a metro station. So what we could do is get rid of this metro station, put the giant multi-platform end station in there, and then try and connect it up. Now, the reason I want to do that is because before I get back to working on suburb-like areas, I want to get some above-ground trains going to some very specific destinations across the city. Because at the moment, we don't have that. And that's one of the complaints a lot of people have had about my buses, is that they loop around areas and are sort of irrelevant at this point because that's not what the metro does. So at some point, I'd like to change my buses so that they are sort of going to specific locations, maybe from metro stations, so you could get on a bus here and sort of go into the heart of this area and then, you know, go back and forth like that. I think I've talked about that before, but I'd like to have trains that go to certain key areas. So a train that will go over from, say, Birdsong Square to Conflicted Park or to London Park. You know, a train that goes the way we already have, out to the airport. A train that'll go over here. You know, actual trains that go to very specific locations. We do already have a bit of that with the metros, but I really want to see some above ground trains as well. I really want to get one of these stations in here. So let's just do it. Let's just get right on with it and start dezoning some pretty built up space. Now, this is obviously going to hurt the population, but to be honest, I'm not too concerned. It'll hurt my income as well, but again, really not that concerned. My income is fine. We're making some good money. We have $8 million. It's not like this is going to be a major thing. A lot of people just walking away from this area at the moment. That's kind of understandable. I love that they're all going for the metro station as well. It's like, oh, my house got bulldozed. Well, over to the metro, I guess. That's kind of interesting. I'll just clear all of this out of there. Just like so. So we do have the metro stations on either side as well there, but what I'm going to do is delete the stop at this one so that it doesn't completely mess up that line. So both of those are still going to go through there. If I delete this, can that red line keep moving? It'll have to go back temporarily. But what I can do actually is we're going to need to move this red line stop to the new station. What I'm going to do is bulldoze all of that for a second. And before I rerun the simulation, I will just immediately place this like there. I don't know if that's perfectly central, but it's probably close enough. And then I can reconnect this just like so. I can re-add that the green line to have a stop there, which is on the right side. And then the red line can actually have a stop in there as well, and we can delete that red line stop just there. So that's probably fine. Excuse me. My throat's been a little bit weird today, so I may, have to clear it a couple of times. But that right there is totally fine. It's a really cool looking building. I really do enjoy the way this building looks. And what I'd also like to do is go ahead and basically do this. And I also want to do, you might be able to tell what I'm about to do here. I want to do that as well. Bring this down to, let's turn off this road guideline thing for a second. Bring that straight down to there and bring, you know what, let's try and do this properly because it's being, the road snapping's being very weird. Yeah, for some reason that road down there is odd. So let me just clear these out completely for a second and redo that. You can, like I said, probably tell what I'm about to do. We'll go for some grass on this. So that's going to go, whatever that is, 30-ish units. What is up with the zoning along there? Look at that. That's really weird. Just there at that corner. We'll do the same on this side. Another 30-ish units going down to there. And I guess that'll be fine. And then what I'll do is parking lots, which, again, I know aren't the most exciting thing in the world, but it kind of makes sense, really, to have these parking lots alongside the train station. It's going to, number one, make it look like a much more built-up area. And number two, it will actually incentivize some tourists to come over here, and it will just make the area a bit more, a bit busier, which is something I absolutely want, because I do want this area to look very busy, because it is a rather major train station. Now, what I'm also going to go ahead and do is actually put in some pedestrian paths, just like that. I'm also going to put one just over here like that. And then what I want to do is actually raise this up to... Well, that's pretty steep. Can we maybe go a little bit lower on that? So it can still go over some train lines. So to about there, going straight across to there, and then straight down to there. So that'll hopefully let people cross over the train lines. There is a pillar sort of in the middle there, but we can make that work. So at this point, all I really need to do is tear out all of the trees, and we can see what kind of area we're working with. Now, I know you're probably looking at this and going, hold on a minute, what about all the buildings that you're going to have to get rid of to make this work? Well, yeah, there's going to be quite a few of those. There's going to be quite a few buildings that are going to need to be taken out of here to get some train lines going through. But what I'd like to do eventually is have a lot of the train lines merge into one line, or train tracks, I should say. So we have 6 different sets of tracks, 12 individual lines, I suppose, 12 platforms. But what we can do is eventually merge, say, these 2 into one, these 2 into one, and these 2 into one. So we're left with 3 lines that we need to run, assuming that'll actually work. But we can condense this quite a bit if needs be. So what I think I'm going to do, to start with at least, is I'm going to try and bring a line off of over here somewhere. Possibly there if I can get it to work. That actually will sort of work. I wonder if I started there and went a little bit. Can I connect that? I can. Okay. Now that's kind of important because what I'm going to try and do is bring this line to here. That's too close, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Let's go a little bit further out. I think this will work, possibly. Yeah, that'll work. So that's going to go straight across for a second, and that's going to go, hopefully, bring that back a little bit and go to there. Yeah, that works fine. So bulldoze all of that, and I just want those 2 lines to basically line up. So if we turn road guidelines back on, that lines up, goes to there, and that's fine. Although I might want to hold off on that, because my planning here is basically that this line's gonna stay for a second. I think. I'm trying to figure this out. I think this line will stay. The station will go, but the line itself will stay because I think cargo trains use that. So what I want to try and do here, I guess, is bring that sort of across parallel. Can I get that to work? So that goes to there. All right. Then can that go... Can I get this to work without looking silly? Is the real question. There we go. So that's fine. Now the reason I want that to go parallel is because I want to have this line able to sort of go in multiple directions like this, which I know looks a bit silly, but I want the train to be able to come in and then go back out, which is going to mess things up for these other lines, which is kind of a pain. Okay, we're gonna have to line these up slightly differently. I'll put a quick cut in the video while I work out exactly what I'm gonna do with this. Otherwise, I'm gonna be rambling and constantly redoing things, and it's not really gonna be that interesting to watch. So we'll cut and come back when I know what I'm doing. Okay, so this is what we're looking at the moment. There are a couple of trains moving. One of those is a regional train. That one you're seeing there on the right, I believe, is going out to the airport. So I'd say this is a pretty good start. I cleared out a bit more space than I was originally planning to. But I've gone ahead and connected these two lines up like so. I've got these four in the middle, which are actually currently going straight towards a university and a bunch of schools. So what I'm going to do is actually just figure out, this is still Birdsong Square. Okay. Birdsong Square, I'm going to completely D-zone. Everything in there is going to be D-zoned. And I'm going to move the schools and the university and all that stuff to what I think will be better locations. I'm going to try and make kind of dedicated space for the schools, for the university, for all that stuff. So what I'm thinking we could do is go ahead and do something like a little one-way road just over here that goes like that. So that's going to loop around, and that right there is where I reckon we could move the university to, and maybe chuck it just sort of either right there or right at the end. But I'm thinking something like that, right in line with this metro station. Because what I can do is throw a couple of parking lots there just to make it look kind of interesting. I could bring a road down like this a little bit, and I could throw more parking lots there again, just to sort of make it a little bit interesting, so that people can, you know, go to their university right by the main train station. And I think that's kind of cool. So we could even throw more parking lots in front of it if we really wanted to, which I think I will, again, just to fill in the area and make it look a bit built up. So there we go. The university's been moved. There's still parking lots around it, which I think is still fairly important. So we'll bulldoze these old ones here. We'll get rid of the parking lots near the elementary school and the high school as well, because those are going to need to be moved. We could even go so far as moving the high school to that spot there, obviously right next to a train station, but that's probably all right. It's probably not a big deal, right? And the elementary school could go behind it. So something just a bit like that. Again, you know, they're crammed in there a little bit. It's not the nicest location in the world, but I never said it would be, so that's probably fine. And what we could even do is sort of that and throw a parking lot just there, if we wanted. You know, if we want to get parking lots right by the train tracks, which I'm not necessarily opposed to. Don't think that looks great though, so we'll leave it as is. You know what I might do? I might move the elementary school down a little bit to there and just put a little road there. Just so it, you know, we have kind of a little road in between them. Because what I could even... Actually, no. Bulldoze the road. Move the elementary school down by 1. Then just pedestrian paths around it, just to make it look like it has sort of a little defined thing going around it there, and that looks all right to me. Obviously, there's a train track going right by the windows of that school, but it moves it all out of the way, which is kind of what we needed, so that's totally fine by me. This road here can probably stay, but the rest of these can absolutely go. So all of that's going away. Oh, no, that's not... oh, dear. Okay. That can go there and there. There we go. And then this road is going to be going to there. All right, so there we go. We have the grounds for all of the education in there, which is perfect. We can go ahead and tear out this right here, and we can get rid of all these trees too, so that this area is just going to be really, really noticeable from a distance. I want to be able to zoom out on this and look at it and say, that's a nicely designed area right there. And I know this episode, by the way, is a little more focused on trying to make this look good, but it is also a functionality thing. I want to get these train tracks working really well. Now, what I will do for that for a second is I'm actually going to bring this road over Because what I want to do is I want to go to train lines. I want to go to here. And I want to make sure they're raised up to the same height. So 1, 2, 3 presses of that will do it. And I'm going to go like that. And I'm going to go like that. Because I can then hopefully do... Well, no, that's probably not going to work. They're probably too far away. So to there and to there. And then in... Oh, distance too short. Okay. Well, that does make things a little bit complicated. So distance is too short. All right. Okay. So we'll bulldoze those again. We'll bring this across and we'll go to there, I suppose. So something just a bit like that. We'll turn on, we'll make sure it's, 10 units long and 10 units long. And can I bring these forward just a little bit? Now that distance there is apparently too short, which is a bit weird considering it's the same distance as all the other ones. There we go. So with that, let me do it. Kind of. That'll kind of let me do it. So what if I was to bring this forward to there and bring this forward to there? Ah, there's what I'm looking for. Perfect. All right, so those merge together. Now, obviously, that may cause some issues with trains coming in and out, but when it comes to getting them onto the platforms, it really shouldn't be too much of a big deal. What's more, this now means that we only have to deal with 2 train lines going through the entire city. Now, obviously, later on, they could split off and go elsewhere, because I'm thinking that I do want a stop over by Conflicted Park. I'm thinking I want a stop done in this area as well, up here as well, so it's going to have to loop the whole way around the city, but I'm glad that I'm not going to have to worry about too many train lines going through the city. So what I think I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to bring this train line forward to that point. And then I want it to go forward to there. And I want it to curve. So what distance is this? So, excuse me. That's $880. So $880 doubled. Hold on. How many units is that? So if that there, oh god, that's gonna be difficult to tell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, possibly. So nearly 10 units. I think that's about a right angle there. It's kind of tricky to tell, but we'll go with that. Bring it forward a little bit, and we just need to start taking it down this way. And it's basically going to run along the highway. Now, obviously, there's some buildings in the way that are going to be a little bit tricky to deal with, but we'll try and move those to spots where they're still going to work and do their thing. But this train line here is going to run the whole way down and along the highway, which is going to interrupt some of my pathways there. So what we'll do is just bulldoze that and go ahead and replace the pathway with a new one that can just run sort of straight through there rather than having that weird kink in it, which I think came from, oh, I believe that would have been when we had this kind of thing going on just over here. Speaking of this kind of thing, can we get past that? Oh, we totally can. Beautiful. All right. So train line's going to go to there. It's going to cross the road. And it's just going to keep going, basically. In terms of where I want it to stop, I mean, I could probably get a stop in here if I really wanted to. Yeah, I absolutely could. Don't know if I want that, but I could. Basically. But I think this one I might actually have branch off a little bit and go over towards Conflicted Park. Because I would, like I said, I would like a train stop over there specifically. I think that would be kind of interesting. So we'll see, I suppose. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Let's just get this train track through where it needs to go. It is going to be getting rid of a lot of the taller buildings that we have around here, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay, so what I've gone ahead and done is these two have merged, as we can see. They come all the way down this way. They went through a lot of buildings to do this, but that's fine. Curves around with the highway, and then it curves off this way. Has a bit of a little kink in it there. It's going to go through a bunch of buildings in this spot, which will be pretty cool. Goes way, way out and then around and into a train station just by the mall, by this area, with a bunch of parking in front of it. It then continues, and we'll be behind some buildings along this avenue at some point, crossing over a couple of avenues, coming around to here, which is actually right next to a tram stop, which is beautiful news. It means that you can get a tram to the train station in some of these districts. But that's not all. It continues. And this, I've always wanted to say that. in the video, but there's more. It continues this way, and very similar story, goes down, and we have another station just here. Now, the line for those isn't currently set up. We're going to go ahead and do that right now. So it's going to start out there. It is going to go the whole way around to here, then the whole way around to here, and then the whole way around way up through the city to, let's say, just there, basically. Then it goes back. Goes the whole way back through the city, way out to there, all the way down to there, then all the way up and around to there. So there we go. We have a new completed train line, which I'm kind of excited about. I'm kind of curious to see this thing get up and running. I want to see if people are actually going to use it. I realize those train stations don't have water, so they're not going to be too keen on that. Let's go ahead and get them connected up to the grid so that they do, in fact, have water. This one over here actually does already have water, which is quite nice. Look at this one being all fancy with its plumbing. This one as well, also fancy with its plumbing. There we go. So those are connected up regardless. We'll hopefully see some people keen to use those. Although I am thinking that I want to just change the color of that line a little bit. I think we'll go for a bit more of a pale sort of, no, you know, I'll go for a darker or, nah, blue. Sort of a bluish color on those will be kind of nice for those trains, just so we can start telling them apart. So those are going to be some blue trains that go out that way and go up through the city, which I'm kind of looking forward to. Now, we do already have a connection to the airport, technically, since this train is doing that. So I'm going to recolor that one as well and make that line red, I think, just so I can tell. Actually, what color is the bus line that goes out to the airport? It's red as well, isn't it? Yeah, so red is fine for the trains that go to the airport. That way, the buses and the trains that go to the airport are always going to be red. Also, are you carrying anyone? No. So that line's currently not very popular. That's totally fine by me. Underneath there, also not the most popular in the world, but the point is that this just looks cool, really. I mean, if we're being honest, it kind of looks really good. I'll go ahead and throw that in there, I think, just so it gets power. And eventually we're going to see a lot of trains coming in here, because eventually, like I said, I want to maybe branch this off and have it go over towards the Conflicted Park. It's just finding a way to do that where it doesn't look god-awful, because it could very well do that if I'm not careful. So maybe what we do... Hold on, why is that power line not connected? Uh-oh. Yeah, so the suburbs are still neglecting the suburbs, just in case you were curious. Yeah, those are about as forgotten as ever, if we're being honest. But what I'm thinking is I could maybe bring this sort of off of here and then back up and through that district so that we can get some trains going up towards Conflicted Park. I know that's a heck of a way to go to get up there, but it could be kind of interesting. I don't know, what I kind of want to try and do is have, you know, maybe another train station in here somewhere. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need to get a lot more of the suburbs done before I connect up the rest of those, so that we have more places to go. Because I like the idea that, you know, you could maybe jump on a train out in the suburbs, go into the city, go to here, and then it'll go back out to Conflicted Park, then from Conflicted Park to there, and back out to the suburbs. I think that might be the way to go with that. So we might have to wait, is what I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some commercial buildings just along here, just all the way down there. We'll throw some commercial buildings in. We'll start surrounding that area with them, because I think it kind of makes sense. We can go to there as well with some commercial buildings. We'll go to there as well. We'll leave this bit in the middle. Actually, that road there needs to go. That's not actually supposed to be there. That was just for measuring. But yeah, I don't mind surrounding this area with a bunch of commercial premises. I think that's going to be for the best. I would like to throw another parking lot just in there, though. And another parking lot just there as well. Just to add some corners onto that, make it look a little bit interesting. And there are a decent number of people using the parking lots as well, which is quite nice to see. There's a blue train coming in. It's actually got a passenger, singular, which is not really great. This platform here, actually regional trains use that one, so that's kind of cool. So that'll be kind of nice to to see some regional trains coming in that way to pick people up and bring them to the city or take them out of the city or whatever, really. But I do like how this has turned out. I think it's going to be a really interesting area to look at from above when it fills up a bit. It would maybe be good to get the terrain painting mod in here so I can actually make the area look like it's, you know, paved. I think that'd be kind of nice. But I'm really pleased with how that looks. So what I'm going to do is we're going to come back to that. Because if we're honest, I mean, there's not a lot of places to connect up to yet. I think I'll leave the conflicted park idea until we go ahead and actually get more suburbs out here. I think this is a good line to have, this one. But I think the idea will be that we come off of this platform here. Well, technically it could come off of this, because technically we can have 4 trains on this, on these 2 lines, because this is only using 1 platform. So if I put another stop in there, it can come out on this same line. So either way, it's going to come out of here, go onto this line. Its first stop is going to be there. Then it comes out onto this line. It'll come off of that line and go to Conflicted Park, then back onto that line and out to this area or something like that. That's my thinking. Anyway, we do have some demand for some residential zoning, so I'd like to do something about that. I think what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to just mess with all of these districts for a moment, and I'm going to say that they're all going to be European, which means they are all going to have to rebuild. So we're going to see our demand and our population go crazy for a little bit. We're also going to see the income go crazy for a little bit, because all of this... I mean, there's 6,100 people in Quartz Park. I'll make all these changes. We'll go through and make all the changes to this. And then we'll total up just how many people we are currently kicking out of their homes to rebuild them in the European style. Because there's a lot of them, and it's going to mess up my city for the next hour. So that's going to be fun. 4,200. 0. 5,400, so we'll argue... Let's just say 10,000. We'll round it up. 13,500. We're up to 19,600. Oh, good lord. 20. We'll say 26,000. We'll say 28,000. We'll say 32,000. We'll bring that up to 35,000. We're about 35,000 people are about to be kicked out of their homes, so that we can rebuild them in the European style. So that's gonna be nice. That's gonna be just great. Is what that's gonna be. So Oh, that's going to hurt my income, isn't it? That is really going to hurt my income and the population. But what we can do while we're waiting for that all to go down is we can actually start working out in these spaces. Because I do want to get some nice roads through here. So the first thing I want to do is, number one, I want to make sure I have roads along the train tracks. I know that means we're going to be having some grids in here. We are fundamentally going to have, you know, grids. We will have a sort of base grid, but these spaces in here are going to have angles and all that stuff on them, so it's not just one giant grid that we're dealing with. But I want these roads along the train tracks so that the train tracks, for the most part, are going to end up being hidden away by everything, really. So that's going to go up to there and across like that. We're going to bring this through to there. And that'll, you know, that'll help. That's just a basic sort of structure for what we're doing. This is going to come over to that point. I'd like to run this one from that point straight up to there if I can, which I can do. And I believe that's the end. That's the beginning of that curve. So that's going to go to there, I think. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird looking curve there. We'll do that. So there we go. That's again going to have buildings along that train line, which is perfect. Then a couple of roads just coming off at different angles, sort of like that. And something like, I don't know, this going straight through to there. Bit of an angle. Looks just kind of interesting. And this one straight up to, I don't know, there. Yeah, that works. So yeah, it's not quite a grid. It's a lot of it's based off of curves and stuff like that. And then what we can do is make these areas in between all that more interesting. Look at my population, man. Look at the damage I've done. Oh, it's terrible. It's so terrible and I feel so bad, but it's gonna be worth it in the long run. I hope, I really, oh boy, really hope, that it ends up working. It's just gonna take some time. I may cheat and use Demand Master to fill all of these areas up again. Because at this point, I'm just gonna have to sit around and wait. So I may use Demand Master to, you know, force the demand to be maximum so that we can go ahead and basically just, you know, fill up these spaces again. I think that might be a pretty good idea. We'll see though. I'm not 100% on that just yet. And there we go. So basically, I decided to use Demand Master to speed up this whole process because I would have just been sat around for like an hour, maybe more, waiting on all of this rebuilding. So in a way, it's a cheat. Yeah, okay, I didn't sit for the hour or two that it would have taken for all of this to rebuild, but I wouldn't have been doing anything really in that time. So if you don't know what Demand Master is, here's a really quick rundown of what it does. Basically, you enable Demand Master in your content manager on the main menu, and you can now click this. So what I can do is I can adjust the demand for like residential zoning, and if I want it to be 100% demand all the time, I just fix the value and it will never drop. So I basically put them all up to maximum, fix the values, and that helped for all of this space to rebuild because there's some offices, some commercial, and some residential and all that space. So yes, all of the buildings that have been abandoned over here and over here have rebuilt as well. But they will eventually go away again if the city runs into problems, which it's still doing because we don't have goods in some of these areas. So it's not a permanent fix by any means for some of the problems that the city's having. The city is still having some issues, and I've not just made those go away because I used a tool to stop me from having to wait for ages for this whole space to rebuild. Basically, you know, I understand some people won't like it. I just don't want to sit around waiting for 2 hours for this all to rebuild just because I wanted to change the theme. So that's the way it is, basically. And I have to admit, a road with European buildings on either side and trams just looks really cool. There's nothing European about this road, by the way. A road like this length of a road with just like uninterrupted and all that stuff, that's not very European at all, but I really like how this area is coming along. I really, really do. I'm also thinking I want to try throwing in some low density stuff in here just to see if I just want to see if it looks any good, really. So I'm going to bring something sort of in here, and I'm going to just start doing some dead-end roads back here, because I think that could be kind of nice. So I'm going to do that kind of thing, and I'm just going to fill up the space a little bit, really. I'm going to leave some gaps so I can put paths in there as well. But I'm curious to see if low density would work out here. Because if it does, then great. If it doesn't, then, you know, we tried. But it could look really nice having some little low density space out this way. So bring that to say there. And we'll bring maybe a little bit just in there, possibly. No, we'll leave that bit open. We can maybe put a park in there. We'll bring a road off of there as well. And maybe that point. And maybe also off of there. Again, just so we can get some space in. And we'll leave that little space open too. As for over here, I'm feeling like a little road off of there could be pretty good. I'm feeling like a little road off of there could be pretty good as well. And we'll just go for little bits like this. Just little dead-end roads all over the place so that the area just looks kind of interesting. So that can go to there, and this one can come down to about there. So let's go ahead and put some pedestrian paths into all of that space so that people can walk around if they want to do so. So just through all of that, and we'll bring one straight down to there as well, connecting up maybe like so. Maybe connecting across to there as well. I know some of the zoning in this area is going to be weird because of the way I'm doing the paths, but I'm kind of okay with that. Again, the idea here is that the zoning is just going to look kind of interesting. Now, these paths, obviously, some of them are a lot straighter than they need to be. Some of them would probably have curves and all that stuff. Like here, for example, we could throw in a little bit of a freeform thing going up that way. So it just curves kind of nicely. This one, for example, could probably just go straight, sort of like that. Again, just to make it a little bit different. This one's going to follow straight through, because it really should. Bring one off of there, though, and one off of there. We can bring this one straight through that space. And straight through there as well. And maybe one there. And I like it. I do really like the look of built up areas when they have got little paths going around them. I think it looks really, really good. So that's kind of what we're going for here. Bring that down to there and that straight up to there. Connect up that one. And this could maybe go to there even. I think that looks all right. These ones are going to run sort of along the top of those roads. Just like so. That can run to there. And maybe that could run just like that. And just like that. There we go. I like it. Let's get one last little road in here. Straight across to that point. Actually, we'll bring that up to there and maybe across that way. That looks a bit better. And then that can connect there too. All right. So a bunch of pedestrian paths have gone in there. People can walk around like crazy. They can cycle. They can do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead. Oh, we are losing money. I assume there's a lot of issues. Yeah, there's some issues with not enough goods. That was kind of to be expected. That'll happen with Demand Master. The population's also having a little bit of a death wave in a few areas. So again, that'll happen. It'll bounce back though. It always does. But let's go ahead and try throwing in some low density commercial along the front just here for this entire district. And then let's throw in some residential. Let's give this a shot and see what happens. Obviously, there's no demand for it. So what I may do is just, with what we have here, I'll put in some of this stuff and then we'll bump Demand Master on for a second just to see what exactly this stuff looks like in the area. Because if it doesn't look very good, then I don't want to do it. Again, I don't like just, you know, oh, we're going to cheat all of a sudden. But I want to make sure this actually looks good. So again, Demand Master, kind of simple. Bump that up, fix them, and we'll see this area grow quite quickly. And the simple reason, like I said, is just to make sure it looks good. I'll turn it off if as soon as we're done here. And then I'll turn the mod off as well. So next episode, we will not have Demand Master on from the get-go. It's just a really, really useful mod if you're experimenting, which is honestly a lot of what I've been doing today. So it's kind of important for that purpose. And I just want to make sure that this low density stuff doesn't look terrible. Because this area, whilst it is sort of a grid, it's following the lines, but it's not your typical kind of grid. So I just want to make sure what we're doing here doesn't look awful, essentially. So let's go ahead and turn off the fixed values so that that area is going to start actually having an impact on the demand across the city. But for the most part, I don't think it looks awful. I think it looks a little bit interesting having these tall buildings here, so maybe those should all be downgraded as well. Because I think the train line is a really nice divide for these areas. I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with that. I kind of like how that's looking, though. I think it'll look really nice with maybe with some tree-lined roads in there as well. So maybe all the sort of major roads that go through the area could be tree-lined, so that people aren't going to be parking on a road that, you know, cuts from one bit of road. You get what I mean. The major roads cutting through this whole space are going to be tree-lined. The other ones aren't. And I think that looks all right, to be honest. We could make the other ones have grass on the sides, but I don't think that's necessary. You know what? I kind of like that. I actually do kind of like that. I think that looks kind of nice. All right. All right, I like to think we've made some pretty interesting progress there today, ladies and gentlemen, so I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm kind of looking forward to where the city's going to be going. Obviously, this space up here still needs filled in. This space up here needs some work, but I'm liking this. I think this is a really nice first step towards some proper little suburbs. You know, this is obviously much more kind of... it is still quite dense. It's low density, but the the density of the buildings themselves and how close they are together is quite high. But I think the idea here is eventually, you know, this is going to be a step in the right direction towards this kind of thing where we just have, you know, a road with little cul-de-sacs coming off it and all that stuff. So I think we're definitely on the right track. I do want to throw in one of these little Japanese gardens, I think, into perhaps that corner. Just so that there is some nice stuff going on in the neighborhood. I think that would be nice. Maybe we'll throw in a little park just over here as well, which is obviously going to intersect some of those buildings, which I'm not a huge fan of. What about a large playground? A large playground absolutely works, so we'll throw that in. We'll go ahead and get some little dirt paths just up like this, and just up like that, and we can connect straight through, and we can connect straight through. There we go. So that right there, large playground for everyone in the area to enjoy. So ladies and gentlemen, I am going to leave it there for today. It has been an absolute pleasure as always, and as always, thank you kindly for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!